Today, we're diving into a story that proves that achieving financial success is possible, no matter your background.
I love these kind of deep dives. So who are we uncovering today?
We're looking into the life of Ronald Read, and he quietly built an incredible fortune. It's a story that shows you don't need a six-figure salary to achieve real financial success.
There's got to be a good story here. Tell me more.
Well, Ronald Read lived a really simple life. He worked as a gas station attendant and then a mechanic for 25 years before taking a part-time janitor job at JCPenney.
Wow, talk about humble beginnings.
He retired in 1997.
So not exactly the image that pops into your head when you think millionaire, right?
Not even close.
Yeah.
You'd never guess he was secretly building an $8 million portfolio.
Wait, what? $8 million?
Yep. His friends and family were totally shocked when they discovered it after he passed away in 2014. They knew him as this thrifty, unassuming guy. Nobody had any clue about his secret wealth.
So how did he do it? Was he playing the lottery or something?
Nope, nothing like that. He wasn't into risky ventures or get-rich-quick schemes. He was actually really strategic with his money.
Strategic how?
He invested steadily in companies he actually understood.
Ah, so he wasn't just throwing money at random stocks?
Not at all. He built a portfolio mainly of blue-chip stocks. Think companies like Wells Fargo, Procter & Gamble, and Colgate-Palmolive.
Okay, so the big, reliable names, the kind that have been around forever.
Exactly, the kind of companies that are probably making the products you use every day. He focused on those solid, established companies that have been around for decades.
Makes sense. Instead of gambling on some new, unproven company?
Right. He invested in businesses he knew and understood, and that paid dividends.
Okay, so this dividend thing.
Yeah, dividends. It wasn't about getting rich quick for Ronald Read. It was a long game.
Absolutely. Dividends are those little bonus payments a company gives to its shareholders.
Got it. Like a little reward for investing in them.
Exactly. And Reed just reinvested those payments right back into buying more stock. So over time, his money just grew exponentially. That's the power of compounding these small, consistent gains building upon each other.
It's amazing how that works. Small, steady growth over time. But this is where it gets really fascinating. Reed was incredibly frugal.
Frugal? How frugal are we talking?
We're talking driving a used Toyota Yaris, patching up his clothes with safety pins, chopping his own firewood. He really stretched every dollar.
That level of frugality must have been a huge factor in his investing success.
Right. It freed up so much of his income to put into the market.
Exactly. It's a crucial point. You need capital to invest. And Reed's lifestyle allowed him to save a huge chunk of his income, which he plowed back into the market. I mean, it's not about deprivation. It's about prioritizing long-term goals over, instant gratification.
It's a powerful lesson for sure. But there's another layer to this story. He also spent every single lunch break at the library.
The library? What was he doing there?
Studying.
Studying, really?
Yeah, poring over financial publications. Imagine that kind of dedication.
Wow. That puts a whole new spin on things. It means he wasn't just blindly picking stocks.
Right. He was putting in the work.
He was constantly educating himself, trying to understand financial markets and make smart decisions.
And probably looking for those undervalued opportunities, like a hidden gem,
Exactly. It's a great reminder for any investor, no matter how experienced. Knowledge is power.
It truly is. So we have this humble janitor who, in his spare time, is essentially acting as his own financial analyst.
Right. Researching, selecting his investments, and letting them grow over time.
It really challenges those assumptions about who can succeed in investing.
Definitely. And it proves you don't need a fancy degree or inside connections, just patience, discipline, and willingness to do your research.
His results speak for themselves. When he passed away in 2014, his portfolio held shares of companies most people would recognize. Companies like Johnson & Johnson, CVS Health, JP Morgan Chase, General Electric, even Dow Chemical.
So he was diversified across many different industries, which is a core principle of smart investing.
And get this, he even had a first edition of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It sold at auction for a whopping $157,000.
No way. So he had an eye for value beyond just stocks.
It seems like it. That long-term perspective was a part of his whole approach to life. He truly understood value in many different forms.
Absolutely. His story's amazing, but I'm dying to know more about his specific stock picks. What were his biggest holdings?
Well, he owned 95 different stocks, but his top 10 really show how he approached investing. For instance, his Wells Fargo stake.
Wells Fargo, that's a big one.
Right. At his death in 2014, it was worth a staggering $510,900.
From one company. That's more than some people make in a year.
I know. That's the power of his long-term approach. Buy and hold, baby.
And remember, he achieved that by consistently reinvesting dividends, letting that compounding magic work its wonders.
It's incredible. What else was in his top holdings?
Well, he also had Procter & Gamble, the company behind basically everything in your bathroom.
Yeah, those everyday products.
Well, his shares in Procter & Gamble were worth $364,008.
See? Those familiar brands we see on supermarket shelves can generate real wealth if you invest wisely.
Exactly. It's about thinking long term. What else? Oh, Colgate-Palmolive. That one was valued at $252,104 in his portfolio.
Another household name. It's mind-blowing how these everyday companies can be such powerful investments.
Right. And then there was American Express, the credit card and finance giant. That came in at $199,034.
Wow, just like clockwork.
And to round out the top 5, J.M. Smucker, the company that makes those jams and jellies and...
The peanut butter? Don't forget the peanut butter.
Oh, of course. That's worth $189,722.
So it seems like his strategy was all about investing in those companies that provide essential goods and services. The ones that are likely to stick around.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. He wasn't chasing trends. He was investing in the bedrock of the American economy. Those companies with a long, solid track record.
It makes you realize that building wealth doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the simplest strategies are the most powerful.
Absolutely. But there's more to the story. His financial decisions were interesting, but there's something even more profound about his life.
Oh, absolutely. Ronald Read's story is more than just numbers and stocks.
You'd think someone like Ronald Read, with his humble background, would be super cautious with his investments.
Yeah, playing it safe, sticking to super low-risk options.
Right, exactly.
Remember the 2008 financial crisis?
Oh, yeah, who could forget that? It was a wild time.
Remember Lehman Brothers?
That huge investment bank, yeah, of course.
They collapsed, right? Tons of investors lost big time.
A major turning point in the financial world, that's for sure.
Well, guess what? Ronald Read actually owned shares in Lehman Brothers when it all went down.
Oh, wow. Really? That must have been a huge hit to his portfolio.
You would think so, right?
A major setback for sure.
But here's the thing. His diversified approach really saved him.
Diversification? You mean spreading his investments across different companies and industries?
Exactly. Even though he lost money on Lehman Brothers, it didn't devastate his entire portfolio.
So the impact was minimal.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a powerful lesson about not putting all your eggs in one basket.
It really is. He wasn't gambling everything on a single company. He spread the risk.
And that's what helped him weather the storm, even during a major financial crisis.
It shows a deep understanding of risk management. He wasn't just picking stocks based on hunches or following the crowd.
Right. He had a method to his madness.
A well-thought-out strategy.
It's almost like he understood that losses are inevitable sometimes.
But they don't have to wipe you out if you're properly diversified.
Exactly. He was playing the long game, and he knew that there would be ups and downs along the way.
It's amazing how someone like Ronald Read, a janitor, could outperform so many seasoned investors.
Right. He didn't have a fancy finance degree or access to insider information.
He just had patience, discipline, and a willingness to do his research.
And remember those lunch breaks at the library? He was constantly learning and adapting his strategies.
He knew that knowledge was power, especially in the world of investing.
He wasn't just reading for fun. He was actively applying what he learned, carefully selecting companies he believed in and holding on to those investments.
A true buy-and-hold investor.
It's like he had this internal compass, guiding him towards companies that aligned with his values of stability and long-term growth.
And his success proves that investing is more than just numbers and charts.
It's about making informed choices, understanding your financial goals, and sticking to your principles.
All this talk about his investments and his frugality makes me wonder, did Ronald Read ever actually enjoy his wealth?
That's a great question. I mean, he lived so simply, even with millions in the bank.
Did he ever allow himself any luxuries? Travel? Fancy meals?
It's a fascinating paradox, right? He clearly understood the power of money, but it didn't seem to change who he was or how he lived.
Some people might say he missed out on certain experiences by being so thrifty.
But others argue that his frugality wasn't about deprivation. It was a lifestyle choice.
A way of life that brought him contentment.
He found fulfillment in the journey of building wealth, not just the destination.
His story challenges us to think about our own relationship with money, what truly brings us happiness.
It's a powerful reminder that financial success is only meaningful if it aligns with your values.
If it allows you to live a life that feels authentic to you.
We've talked about Ronald Read's incredible journey to becoming a multimillionaire, but it's what he did with his wealth that really sets him apart.
Absolutely. His philanthropy is a powerful example of aligning your financial success with your values.
It's like the final piece of the puzzle, revealing the true depth of his character.
After a lifetime of frugality, he chose to leave a lasting impact on his community.
And it's not just the amount he gave, but where it went. He donated a large portion of his wealth to his local hospital and library.
Two institutions that were clearly close to his heart. I mean, think about it. He spent countless hours at that library.
Right. Nurturing his love of learning, poring over those financial publications.
And now that very library will benefit from his generosity for years to come.
It's almost poetic, isn't it? And the local hospital, too.
A place that likely provided him with care as he got older.
His $6 million donation wasn't just an act of charity. It was a deeply personal investment in the places that mattered to him.
Places that were part of his life, part of his community.
It really makes you think about the meaning of true wealth. Here's a man who lived simply, saved diligently, and invested wisely. But in the end, it was his generosity that truly defined his legacy.
He understood that money is a tool. It can be used to build a comfortable life, but it can also be used to make a difference in the world.
His story challenges us to think about our own relationship with money.
To ask ourselves, what do we want our financial legacy to be?
Do we want to be remembered for the things we accumulated, or for the impact we had on others?
It's a question worth pondering.
Ronald Read's story shows us that it's not about how much you have, but about what you do with it.
He didn't need fancy cars or extravagant vacations.
His true wealth was in his character, his generosity, and his commitment to making his community a better place.
It's a powerful lesson for all of us. We all have the capacity to give back, whether it's through time, talent, or financial resources.
Even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, creating positive change in the world around us.
Ronald Read, the janitor turned millionaire turned philanthropist. His story is truly inspiring.
It reminds us that with patience, discipline, and a generous spirit, we can achieve not only financial success, but also leave a lasting legacy that extends far beyond ourselves.
So, as you go about your day, think about Ronald Read and the lessons he taught us. What will your financial legacy be?
How will you use your resources to make a positive impact on the world? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your takeaways in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful deep dives into the world of finance and the people who've mastered it.